Shalom. We want to first start off giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, and peace and blessings unto the elect. Okay, we got a quick lesson we're going to go into, and it's dealing with the simplicity of the word, meaning the simplicity of the scriptures. And you read about that, and we're gonna get the scripture in just a minute in 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. But see, the word is simple, but it's also spiritual, and you must have faith to believe in the simplicity of this word. You know?
You have to be spiritual to see how simple it is.
Exactly. But Jake, as the scriptures say, and I'll start with that scripture, our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they like to, first and foremost, they want to know that you have some type of position or authority here in this society, some high position, should I say, and authority in this society to validate what you teach or what you're saying. And if you ain't been propped up, you know, through whether it be Esau, the so-called white man's institutions, his schools, or his entertainment, or one of his venues to put you on a pedestal, to give you a high rank and position, then Jake don't take it serious. You know? They don't think nothing of it. So I got a quick scripture before we bring out that 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. This is Isaiah chapter 30, starting at verse 9. And it reads, that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which is Yahweh. Okay? Reading on, it says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Because when we go out on the highways and the byways and teach, starting with the apostles and the elders and the various men throughout the ranks around the world that push this truth out, when we go out and teach, we're coming straight up and down, direct, okay? We coming with this knowledge that's deep, but it's simple, okay? Jake wants to hear some grand, big words. Well, let me read on. Okay, I'll read the 10th verse again. It says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. So, Jake wants to hear smooth things. Our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the Israelites according to the Bible, they like to hear big words that they don't even know. They like to hear somebody that sound deep, and all these different doctrines and people that's pushing out these doctrines, whether it be through a religion or some type of philosophy, it holds no weight. It just sounds big and bad and bold, but they ain't talking about shit.
Hey, can I say something real quick? It's a balance to it. Just like you have the simplicity in Yahawashi, you have simplicity in the world. And that's what 2/3 of our people gravitate to, is that simplicity in the world. All I need to do is get a heavy vocabulary and speak eloquent and present myself in a certain way. And okay, now I can be a high esteemed person based off of Esau's world.
Right.
And they hear the spirit of simplicity in Yahawashi, which is all we got to do is sacrifice our lives to live in Yahawashi and teach this word, and it don't make sense to them because they thinking of the carnal sense, man.
Right. Jake want to hear that smooth, where you don't stutter, you know, you coming off with the sentences is rolling off in perfect order off the tongue, you know. And all that's madness, man. Only thing that matter is that you speaking the truth. The truth is what matter. And this truth, it is deep. The basics, which is the simplicity of the understanding of the Bible, it is what it is. Okay? At the same time, it is very deep. It's very deep, but it's simple. Jake want to hear the smooth words, okay? And like you had brought out, their simplicity, they keep things, or they understanding of simplicity or keeping things simple is according to this corner kingdom, you know? And they don't have that spiritual eye to receive the simple things of the scriptures, you know?
So yeah, that's why when you read in 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, that's why the Most High say He's gonna do away with the wisdom of this world, because what's deep to them is nothing compared to the simplicity of the word, man.
Right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that scripture. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. It says, "But I fear," this is Paul speaking to the Israelites in Corinth, okay, that believed in Yahawashi, our Lord and Savior. It says, "But I fear, lest by any means," matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "Would to the Most High," well, I'm going to start at verse 2. I start at verse 2, Salaki. It says, "For I am jealous over you." You know what? Before I continue, I want to say this. I was watching the brothers, the elders and the brothers in Dallas, the class that they held, and they posted it on their page, and I just listened 15 minutes in, and this is where I get the lesson from. This is what sparked the idea to go into this particular lesson, and that shows you that if you really just watching lessons, you should have lessons all the time to go into, just by watching the apostles and the elders and all the different brothers through their different ranks, videos that they put up, you know. So let me go ahead. I just want to bring that out because I meant to mention that in the beginning of the video to give credit to them brothers, because I was watching their video and I say, damn, the spirit jumped on me when they brought out this particular verse. It gave me an idea, you know. It produced an idea or a fruit for me to go into to a lesson, you know, or for us to go into a lesson. All right, 2 Corinthians 11 and 2, Salakia. "For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband." This is Paul saying he brought them onto the understanding of Yahawashi, okay? Engaged them unto Yahawashi through this knowledge. It says, "That I might present you a chaste virgin to Yahawashi." Meaning we have to stay away from all these other philosophies and doctrines which sound smooth, which sounds enticing and seducing to the ear because of the big words and the titles that these different men carry. The doctor of divinity, pastor such and such, bishop this, okay? All these different titles that you can get in this kingdom to validate what you teach, okay?
And it was set up. The Lord created all these different things as stumbling blocks for the wicked, man. They so carnal they can't see that this is the spiritual man of the Lord that's bringing the truth over this man's title.
Right. Yep, the common man being raised up with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High. And we coming straight and direct without this flattering words, okay? And the punctual, the punctual speech, the proper grammar, Esau, according to Esau, okay? And it ain't nothing wrong with doing that, you know what I'm saying? As long as you bring out the truth. But Jake, that's what Jake is looking for. That's why Jake is into Islam. That's why they get into the Kemet science and these other philosophies. Even that Christian church, you got them smooth talking preachers, you know, so-called preachers and pastors. But at the end of the day, they're not leading you to life. They're leading you right back into this pit here in America, man. All right, so back to the scriptures. I read that last part, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Yahawashi, meaning sticking to this one true doctrine and believing in it and getting away from all these other philosophies, man. That sounds smooth and deep, and they're not deep, and they're not true. Okay, next verse it says, "But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety." Okay, so Paul is using he's referencing back to the beginning. You know, in the beginning when Eve heard that smooth, that cunning, subtle words of the serpent, which is really the spirit of the so-called white man. The spirit that's in the so-called white man, who are the Edomites in the Bible. That's the same spirit that was in the serpent. Okay? And it enticed us. Ooh, wow. Oh, really? You know, Jay. And she believed it. And then she brought that on to Adam. And what did it do? It brought death. It brought us on to death. Okay?
Paul letting you know that this really go back to all this shit that Jay get caught up on is following after Esau, man.
Right. It's letting, just like we are the Most High the way that we look at a woman, and our woman, we jealous over our woman, and we want her just to stick with us and listen to what we say. Okay? That's how the Most High Salaki. That's how the Most High looks at the nation of Israel. He's jealous over us, just like a man is jealous over his woman, and wants his woman to be obedient to him. That's how the Most High looks at the nation of Israel. At this point in time, in particular, the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? So Paul telling them, look, don't be deceived, just like Eve was deceived. This thing, well, let me read on. It says, so your mind should be corrupted. Be corrupted how? Through the subtlety from the serpent. You know? That cunning way, that cunning speech. It tell you, what is that in I believe Psalms 55. Let me check real quick. I think it's Psalms. Yeah, Psalms 55. And I read verse 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Every time I read this scripture, man, it speaks volumes. It said the words, and it's talking about the wicked. Okay? Talking about really the so-called white man. It said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Okay? And I'd say this, if you get into these other philosophies, these other doctrines, ultimately you're gonna die. Okay? You're gonna end up being destroyed. Okay, so back to 2 Corinthians 11. I finished that out. It says, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity. See, your mind gonna be corrupted from the simplicity through what? Through that subtle, cunning way, cunning speech. Okay? So don't get caught up on we're not supposed to get caught up on the big words and the smooth speech and all that, okay? Keep this thing simple, okay? Keep it simple because the scriptures is telling us that this truth is simple, okay? We have the understanding. We just got to keep it simple.
And that's how Jake end up going off because they get bored with the simplicity of the word and try to get too deep. And that's when they start going off, man.
Right. It says, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Yahawashi. Okay, from there, we'll bring out Proverbs 7, 4, and 5. So this is Proverbs. I'm going to say this. These other doctrines, they got to come off that in that manner of smooth with the word play and all of that because they don't hold no truth. So to get you caught up into the web, because that's what a subtile means. It means under the web or under the tile. Okay? So to get you caught up into that, they got to come with the cunningness. Okay? And you can be wise, you can be subtile in a wise manner, you can be in a righteous manner, you can be subtile to do wicked. In this case, we're talking about these philosophies which are being used to deceive and cater on to wickedness. You had something you was gonna say?
No, I was just thinking about and that's why niggas gravitate to it because and manipulate it like that because they know it don't hold no weight and it's really a piece of shit. It's like when you done got a BS present for somebody, you know the present ain't worth shit, but you say, you know what, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of fancy wrapping paper, I'm gonna put it in a nice bag, I'm gonna get some stuffing, I'm gonna make it look real nice to make them feel like it's about something.
Exactly. And y'all gonna find out. And then when they open up the package, like, damn, this it. So when in these last days we living in, our people gonna find out that these philosophies ain't shit. Damn, all them big words he was using, he was coming, he had me believing in all that, and you gonna find out it was no truth in it, and it was all for nothing. It was all vanity. And then you're gonna go looking for the truth, but it's gonna be too late. Talking about the masses of our people. All right, this is Proverbs chapter 7, verse 4. It says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, because this wisdom is referred to in a feminine sense, or as a woman. Okay. It says, 5th verse, that they may keep thee, they meaning this wisdom, may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
So who is this strange woman? Who could this strange woman be, man? That's all these strange doctrines that y'all get caught up on, man. And we got this beautiful woman, which is the true wisdom, sitting right before us, man.
That's it. But you're going to get caught up. This is telling you the way you're going to get caught up and pulled away from the wisdom and understanding is by the flattering of the words, the cunningness, the subtlety, the smoothness of the speech. Okay? So we're going to end it on this scripture right here. This is Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 14. Get it.
Yeah, you're going to come to find out that woman that you got caught up by the flattering of the words was nothing but a used up whore.
Right. That had diseases, had the HIV, full-blown AIDS. This is Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. It says, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men. It's telling you. And what's that sleight gonna come with? Tricking you. That trickery that they gonna come with through the word play, the smoothness of the speech. And the next part of this verse is gonna tell you. It says, and cunning craftiness, It also comes through how they dress, okay? The people they surround themselves with, other serpents, other wicked serpents, okay? It says, in cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But they got to be cunning and crafty, and they have to trick you, and you can't even, the sleight of men, meaning they didn't pull something quick on, they didn't pull the fast one on you, so you can understand, and you didn't catch it. A lot of time they'll read, like, for example, I'll give you an example. They'll read a scripture, and they'll key in on one part of the scripture, and don't even speak on another part of the scripture, and they didn't keyed in on one part of the scripture of a verse, and they get you caught up all on that, and you ain't even catch what the actual verse is talking about. And I'm using that as an example. It may have been a bad example because these I say, like, the wacky Christians, they don't go into the scriptures much, you know. Go ahead. What you got?
I got the definition for that word slight in Ephesians 4:14, and it's G29:40. It says kuba'a. It says dice plan, metaphor, the deception of men, because dice players sometimes cheated and defrauded their fellow players. And that's what these niggas is doing with these doctrines, man. They defrauding you with their words, man. They defrauding you with their illustrious speeches, man. Because they know they don't have the truth, so they got to distract you with words, man, that sound ever so good.
Right. And you can't see the simple meaning of something, okay? In these scriptures, I'll say that, in the scriptures, because you didn't got caught up on all the wordplay, okay, that they didn't came with. You getting caught up on the dress code. You getting caught up on voice fluctuation, okay? And that's basically it, you know. This truth is simple. These other doctrines, they sound deep, like it's a never-ending well full of water, and you can go to it and drink from it at all times, but it's really nothing. It's a well that holds no water, or like it say in Jeremiah, was that 2:13 or 14? It says Israel has hewn out cisterns that hold no water. And it talks about the fountain of living water. They have forsaken Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi, the fountain of living water, and they have hewn out cisterns, okay, that hold no water, with holes in it.
Yeah, 2:13.
2:13. Come. So you got anything you want to add? All right. So with that, we hope this lesson was edifying. Once again, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the Spirit, and peace and blessings unto the elect. Shalom.